This is one of the best weeks of our lives here. We come here and we see everybody we know, but also who knows what Cambridge have in store for next year. I'm curious, but it's going to be hard to beat. So,
because the LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season.
First, you have to understand how the LPGA rolled out the red carpet. This wasn't just a casual invitation. It was a coronation. The WNBA might see Clark as a threat, but the LPGA saw her as a golden ticket. This wasn't some accident. It was a brilliant, calculated media strategy, and it was orchestrated from the top down. The LPGA, a league that has desperately needed a mainstream crossover star, didn't just let Clark play, they built an entire media event around her. They strategically paired her with the two biggest names they have, the world's #1 golfer, Nelly Korda, and the tournament's namesake, the living legend Annika Sorenstam. This was a message. They were placing Clark on the same pedestal as their own royalty, and the collaboration ran deep. The event was the Annika, driven by Gainbridge. Gainbridge is also one of Caitlin Clark's personal sponsors. This was a coordinated effort between the league and the sponsors to maximize the spotlight and, more importantly, to share it. The result was unlike anything women's golf had ever seen. The LPGA provided expanded Golf Channel coverage for a Pro-Am. They live-streamed her warm-up sessions on social media. The other players, rather than being jealous, were ecstatic. Nelly Korda herself was in awe of Clark's influence and told the media, "It's just great for women's sports. I've never really tuned into watching basketball before her, honestly." The crowds were so massive that golf journalists said they hadn't seen anything like it since Tiger Woods, and the numbers don't lie. Ticket sales for the Pro-Am reportedly spiked a staggering 1,200%. But here's the 4D chess the WNBA just couldn't understand. The LPGA wasn't just getting the Clark effect, they were transferring it. By putting Clark next to Korda, they were using Clark's massive platform to introduce her millions of fans to their #1 star. Korda even admitted she never watched basketball before Clark, and it's safe to say millions of Clark's fans had never watched women's golf before this. The LPGA used Clark's fame to crown their own queen in front of a new massive audience. They were playing chess, understanding that a rising tide floats all boats. The LPGA rolled out the red carpet, but back in the WNBA, they were rolling out the barbed wire. While the golf world was literally thanking Clark for her presence, her own colleagues in the WNBA were trying to run her out of the league. And don't let anyone tell you it's just rookie hazing or welcome to the league hits. This was something different. This was targeted, and we all saw the footage. It started from the very first game and only got worse. We all saw the Chennedy Carter incident. It wasn't a hard foul, it was a blatant non-basketball hip check from behind, away from the ball. It was so obviously malicious that the league, after massive public outcry, had to upgrade it to a flagrant foul after the game because the refs for some reason missed it in the moment. After the game, Carter refused to answer a single question about Caitlin Clark, telling the media, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." Then there was the Angel Reese hard foul, where she wound up and clocked Clark in the head. Another play later upgraded to a flagrant one. This wasn't just playing hard. Respected commentators like Shannon Sharp and Emmanuel Acho went on national television and called it out for exactly what it was, blatant jealousy. Acho said it best, "Don't be envious of Caitlin Clark. Let her take the brunt of the blows. A rising tide floats all boats." But the players in the WNBA didn't see it that way. They saw a threat, and the hostility wasn't just physical. It was professional. It was the infamous Olympic snub, where the league's biggest star, the one person who could guarantee millions of new viewers, was inexplicably left off the team. But the most damning piece of evidence, the smoking gun that proved the entire old guard of the WNBA was actively rejecting her, was the All-Star vote. The results were staggering. The fans, the public, voted her in as the #1 top vote-getter. The media, who watch every game, ranked her as the third best guard. But her own WNBA players, in their secret ballot, they ranked her 9th. This wasn't a basketball opinion. This was a personal, vindictive statement. This was a coordinated professional ostracization. They were physically targeting her on the court and professionally shunning her off of it. The hits on the court were bad, but the silence inside her own locker room was deafening, until one teammate finally cracked and leaked the truth. For months, rumors were swirling about the Indiana Fever's locker room. Publicly, the team was a unified front. They had to be. But then a post-game microphone caught a bombshell that confirmed everyone's worst fears. On the surface, the team was putting on a good face. Teammate Kelsey Mitchell went on podcasts and gushed about Clark, calling her a live light and praising her positive attitude even after her season-ending injury. Mitchell said Clark wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else and was like a kid in a candy store. It sounded like a perfect happy family. But that was just the PR. The real story, the first leak, came from teammate Sophie Cunningham. After one particularly tough loss, Cunningham stepped to the microphone and confirmed a locker room meltdown. She didn't mean to, but the words just fell out. She said, quote, "We have our own islands." She said it, paused, and then repeated it. "We have our own islands." This wasn't a metaphor. She was confirming the team was fractured beyond repair. Later in the same presser, she admitted, "There's a little thing going on in the locker room. It's not good." Suddenly, all the other rumors started to make sense. Reports began to surface of a clash between Clark and her head coach, Stephanie White, over the team's identity. Cunningham's Islands quote was the first public crack, confirming the team was not a happy family. And this is where it gets interesting. Cunningham's Islands leak and Mitchell's live light comment aren't actually contradictory. They are two sides of the same coin. Clark is a live light, a massive, blinding star. And because she is, the team is fractured into islands. There's the Caitlin Island, with all the media, all the sponsors, and all the attention, and then there's everyone else, left in the dark. Mitchell's comment wasn't denying the fracture. She was describing the source of it. The live light was creating so much heat it was splitting the entire team apart. Cunningham just finally said the quiet part out loud. A divided locker room is bad. A jealous league is worse. But what was just exposed from the very top of the WNBA is unforgivable. And we have the leaked call. This is the moment the WNBA truly, officially imploded. This is the story that the league is desperately trying to kill. It happened when Napheesa Collier, a star for the Minnesota Lynx, and more importantly, the vice president of the WNBA Players Association, went public with what can only be described as a leaked call. Collier, one of the most respected veterans in the game, held an explosive end-of-season press conference, and she came with receipts. She exposed a private conversation she had with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. According to Collier, she was trying to discuss the massive pay gap and the fact that stars like Clark are on minuscule rookie salaries. Engelbert's alleged response was beyond shocking. Collier claimed that the commissioner told her that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA platform. But it got worse. Engelbert allegedly argued that Clark wouldn't be able to make her $16 million in endorsement deals without the WNBA, as if Clark wasn't already a global superstar before she got to the league. But the most damning allegation, the one that sent the entire league into a panic, was what Engelbert allegedly said about the rest of the players. Collier claimed that Engelbert also said that the players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal she got them. This wasn't just a misspeak. This was the commissioner of the league, in private, showing complete contempt for her own players and open resentment for the league's biggest star. And here is the real story, the fatal flaw in her logic. Engelbert's argument is, the WNBA platform leads to Clark's $16 million, but this is factually, demonstrably wrong. Clark's massive economic power already existed before she ever put on a WNBA jersey. She was drawing record-breaking, sold-out crowds in college. Her Clark effect was driving millions in revenue for the NCAA. Engelbert's grateful comment proves she doesn't understand her own business. She doesn't see Clark as a transformational player who is saving her league. She sees her as just another employee who should be grateful. It proves that the same jealousy and resentment we see on the court goes all the way to the top. The moment that quote hit the press, the entire league went into a full-blown meltdown, and the fallout was immediate. Engelbert's grateful comment was a grenade, and the explosion was catastrophic. The commissioner's office went into a full-blown 4-alarm panic. Engelbert immediately scheduled an emergency press conference before the WNBA finals, and she denied everything. She stood at the podium and said the reports were inaccuracies. She said, quote, "I certainly did not say that." She tried to backpedal, desperately trying to praise Clark by calling her transformational, but the damage was done. Nobody was buying it. The backlash was instant. Napheesa Collier, the very player who exposed her, reportedly canceled their scheduled follow-up meeting after hearing the commissioner's public denial. This was a massive power move. Collier was essentially calling her commissioner a liar. Then, the heavy hitters weighed in. Stephen A. Smith went on air and called her denial a weak-ass statement, said it was an attack against your character, and demanded her immediate resignation. This wasn't just media chatter. Days later, the Sports Business Journal, one of the most respected industry publications, dropped the bomb. They reported that Engelbert's departure is likely and that her position is unstable. She was a dead woman walking. She hadn't just misspoken, she had gotten caught. And here's how we know she's lying. Engelbert publicly denied saying Clark needs the WNBA platform, but she must have forgotten about an old clip that immediately resurfaced. In that clip from months earlier, Engelbert publicly said the exact same thing, claiming Clark was able to get more money from endorsements because of the WNBA platform. She's been pocket-watching and diminishing Clark's pre-existing value all along. She's not denying the sentiment, which she clearly believes and has said before. She was just denying the specific harsh words that Collier leaked. She got caught. The commissioner is a dead woman walking. The league office is in chaos. But the real panic is happening behind closed doors, in the sponsor meetings. This is the real meltdown. It's not about feelings, it's about money. The WNBA is on paper having its best year ever. They're boasting about 45 new sponsors. Online merchandise sales are up a mind-blowing 756%. The league's social media channels saw a 380% increase in engagement. Attendance is at a 26-year high. But here's the billion-dollar secret. This isn't a WNBA effect. It's the Caitlin Clark effect. Economists have already run the numbers. They attribute 1 out of every 6 tickets sold across the entire WNBA directly to Caitlin Clark. They project her total economic impact in 2025 alone could reach $1 billion. Clark is the entire business, and the WNBA is actively, publicly, and physically harming its $1 billion asset, and the sponsors are furious. Insider reports claim that major sponsors like Nike and Wilson are in a state of panic. Think about it. Nike just gave Clark a $28 million signature shoe deal. They are paying millions to be associated with her, and the WNBA is allowing its other players to physically attack her on the court and allowing its commissioner to publicly belittle her value. Every time Chennedy Carter hip-checks Clark, she's not just fouling a player, she's damaging a $28 million Nike asset. This is where the LPGA event becomes a threat. The LPGA, with one Pro-Am appearance, saw a 12 ticket spike. They prove that any platform can successfully monetize the Clark effect. This is the sponsors' panic. If the WNBA is a hostile platform, if they are going to fumble this opportunity through raw jealousy, Clark sponsors will simply pull their money from the WNBA and find other platforms like the LPGA to host her. The WNBA is proving to be a bad investment and a physical risk to their client. That is the meltdown. The league is on fire. The commissioner is on her way out. And in the middle of this chaos, Clark's own teammates just made a move that reveals the final, shocking truth. And now the story comes full circle right back to that golf course. Amid this full-blown implosion, Caitlin Clark has already announced that she is returning to the LPGA Pro-Am next month. But this time, there's a shocking new twist. The official tournament press release just announced who her celebrity caddies will be. And who are they? Her Indiana Fever teammates, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. You have to understand what this means. This isn't just a fun photo op. This is a statement. This is a defection. Sophie Cunningham, the exact same player who exposed the islands and the fracture inside her own locker room, is now publicly showing her allegiance. Think about the symbolism. While their own commissioner is being fired for attacking Clark's value, her teammates are literally walking off the WNBA court and onto an LPGA golf course, under the banner of a different league to carry her bag. This is the ultimate power play. They are publicly aligning themselves with Brand Clark and Gainbridge, the sponsor, against the WNBA establishment. They are showing the other sponsors and the entire league which island they are choosing to live on. It's the final proof that the WNBA is in a civil war. The commissioner is out, the sponsors are panicked, and the players are fractured. And when your own stars would rather be caddies for another league than play for yours, how much time does that league really have left?